Hi guys, today we will discuss the second part of the geometric series, which is determining the sum of the terms of an infinite geometric sequence. We are still in quarter 1, week 4. Let us do some short review on the infinite geometric sequence. When we say infinite geometric sequence, it contains an infinite number of terms that continue without end which cannot be counted. So malalaman natin kung ang terms ba ay cannot be counted once na wala ang a sub 1 or ang first term at or ang last term. When we say infinite geometric series, it is the indicated sum of an infinite geometric sequence. We call this sum the sum to infinity. For example, we have this infinite geometric sequence 36, 6, 1, so on and so forth. We can write the geometric series of this infinite geometric sequence as the sum to infinity is equal to 36 plus 6 plus 1 plus dot dot dot. The second example, if we have 1/2, -1/4, 1/8, and so on and so forth, we can write the infinite geometric series as the sum to infinity is equal to 1/2 minus 1/4 plus 1/8 minus dot 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 dot. Ang tanong, paano natin makukuha ang sum ng terms ng given infinite geometric sequence kung hindi natin alam kung hanggang saang term natin i-add ang geometric sequence? So, dyan papasok ang ating condition sa ating common ratio. The common ratio of that given infinite geometric sequence must be -1 less than the ratio less than 1, or that's it, the absolute value of the ratio should be less than +1. Pag ang common ratio natin ay nasatisfy ang ating condition para sa ating infinite geometric series, we can now use the formula. The sum to infinity is equal to the first term divided by 1 minus r, where s sub infinity is the sum to infinity, a sub 1 is our first term, r is our common ratio. Okay, exercise number 1, find the sum for each infinite geometric series if it exists. Explain why the sum exists or does not exist. Number 1, we have 36, 6, 1, so on and so forth. So the first thing we need to know is that the ratio should be less than +1. The absolute value of the ratio should be less than +1. So kapag the absolute value of the ratio is less than +1, ibig sabihin, the sum exists, pwede natin makuha ang sum, gagamitin natin yung formula para makuha yung sum. Kung ang absolute value ng common ratio is not less than +1, ibig sabihin, the sum does not exist, hindi na natin kailangan gamitin yung formula dahil there is no sum that exists. Okay, so let's proceed. So we have r is equal to second term divided by first term. We have 6 divided by 36, and that is equal to 1/6. The second pair of terms, we have 1/6. So, nasa simplest form na yan. So, ang ating common ratio dito ay 1/6. So, the absolute value of 1/6 is equal to +1/6. Is 1/6 less than 1? Do we have a true statement? Yes. So, this statement is true. So, dahil true yan, that means to say, the sum to infinity exists. So, dahil nag-exist ang sum, we can now use the formula to get the sum to infinity. That is, the sum to infinity is equal to a sub 1 divided by 1 minus r, and that is 36 divided by 1 minus 1/6, and that is 36 divided by 5 over 6, and that will give us 36 times the reciprocal of the divisor, which is 6 over 5. So we will multiply these two numbers, and that will give us the sum to infinity is equal to 216 over 5. So, 216 over 5 is already accepted. Kung gusto nyong i-convert pa yan sa decimal, walang problema. Okay? Number 2. So, we have negative 5, 25, negative 125, and so on and so forth. So again, we need to determine whether the absolute value of r is less than positive 1. So our r is equal to the second term divided by the first term, which is 25 divided by 1, and that will give us negative 5. And then the second pair of terms, we have negative 125 divided by 25, and that will also give us negative 5. So, ang ating common ratio is negative 5. So, we have the absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5. So, absolute value yan. We're talking about absolute value. So, is positive 5 less than 1? So, itong statement natin ay false statement. So, dahil false statement tayo, that means to say, the sum to infinity does not exist. So, hindi natin makukuha ang sum. So, stop na tayo dyan. No need to solve, no need to use the formula to solve for the sum to infinity. Okay? So, sana nakasunod. Let's have number 2. Number 3, we have negative 2, negative 1/2, negative 1 over 8, and so on and so forth. So again, ang ating first step is to determine whether the absolute value of the common ratio is less than positive 1. So ang ating r is equal to negative 1/2 divided by negative 2, and that becomes negative 2 over 1. And then we will multiply the 2. So we have negative 1/2 times negative 1/2. Negative 1/2, the second negative 1/2 comes from negative 2 over 1, the reciprocal of 2 over 1. Okay, and then we will multiply the two fractions. So we will have r is equal to positive 1/4. Okay, let's proceed to the second pair of terms. We have r is equal to negative 1/8 divided by negative 1/2. And that will give us negative 1/8 times negative 2 over 1. The reciprocal of negative 1/2 is negative 2 over 1. And then we will multiply. So, ang ating 8 saka ang ating 2 ay pwedeng i-cancel. So, that becomes 1. Ito ay magiging 4. Okay? So, now we have the ratio is equal to 1/4. So, ang ating common ratio ay 1/4. So, ang ating r is 1/4. And that means the absolute value of 1/4 is equal to positive 1/4. So, is positive 1/4 less than 1? Do we have a true statement or false statement? So this is a true statement. Dahil yan ay true statement, that means the sum to infinity exists. The sum to infinity exists. So we are going to use now the formula to the sum to infinity. for geometric series, infinite geometric series, that is, the sum to infinity is equal to a sub 1 divided by 1 minus r, and that is our a sub 1 is negative 2, 1, and our r is positive 1/4. So that is negative 2 divided by 3/4. And that will negative 2 times 4 over 3. And that will give us a negative 8 over 3. Again, accepted na ang ganitong form ng answer, ganitong format ng answer. Kung gusto nyo naman na i-convert sa fraction ng final answer nyo, walang problema. You round off na lang your answer, final answer to at least 3 decimal places. So, I hope nakasunod. Pwede nang gawin ang individual activities. Thank you.